Real Rock Radio 106.3 The Buzz, Johnny Thrash. Joining me on the show today, none other than Mr. Ron White. He'll be in town Friday, August 8th at Memorial Auditorium. Thank you, Ron. A pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, thanks very much for having me on your fine radio show.
Oh, hey, man. The pleasure's all mine. Well, you're a Texas boy. You're from Fritch, and I noticed that all ticket proceeds are going to go to a fund established to help victims of the Fritch wildfire back in May. From what I understood, over 100 structures were destroyed with that fire. That's not a very big town. That had to take a good chunk of it.
Yeah, it's a really small town. It still has, childhood home, which is still there. Is on a dirt street, so they have dirt streets to this day. So it's very, very rural, and was devastating. So, I wanted to do something to help, and I haven't lived there since I was 6, but my grandmother lived there.
Okay.
And but you really can't do a show there because there's no building to do it in. So, I already had the Wichita Falls date, and I'm like, well, I'm sure the Wichita Falls folks would love to help me help these folks in Fritch, and I was right. They certainly responded to it, and we're also inviting military, and we have a big discount for military, firefighters, and police. So, and I know it was those guys that were sacrificing everything up there in Fritch trying to put those fires out. So, and it's just going to be, but it's just a regular show. It's just me coming out on stage and making you laugh. That's all it is.
It's a good show in my mind, man. You mentioned the special ticket price for active duty military, and like me, you were in the Navy. I read that, and from what I understand, that's where you got your nickname from.
Yeah, that's where that came from. Tater salad, and some guy named Ross Hoskins pegged that on me years ago, and it turned out to be probably my most famous piece of comedy is probably that tater salad story.
Yeah, the one in Tater Tot, the son. It's definitely one of the most famous lines to come out of that blue-collar comedy tour. And speaking about that, I guess that's kind of where you broke. That's when your name definitely got out there and why I became aware of you. But you'd been doing comedy for a long time before that, hadn't you?
Yeah, I've been doing stand-up now for 27 years, so that was about 11 years ago. So there were 16 years nobody really cared about, but the people would just come out to see whoever's at the club. So, and they liked my stuff, but there were something's got to happen to make you famous, or you're not going to be famous. So and that's something for me with Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and the generosity of Jeff and Bill and Larry the Cable Guy, and we all worked well together. We're always good friends to this day. I talked to Bill's birthday was yesterday. Okay. I talked to Jeff, trying to get him to cover on the charity date for me, which he did, because he's so gracious and wonderful. And Larry will do anything for anybody, so he's a great fellow. I'm lucky to know him. And who knows? We may do something again someday together.
Yeah, that's good. It seems like y'all have a really good chemistry, man. It was one of the best lineups I can ever remember. And I love country comedy. I'm a straight up Texas boy myself, and I really felt like you stood out amongst all of those great comics, man. And it's good to see that it's only getting better for you. Going out on this new Nutcracker tour, as I see. I've always kind of wondered that about comedians. Do you when you have this new show, do you take time off in between tours and kind of start writing new material to get out there, or is it just stuff come to you along the way, or how does that work?
I tell you, man, it's a combination of those things. I replace a joke out of my show. I try to every day. Okay. I try to write something funny enough to put in my show. I don't always do it. Mm-hmm. In fact, I usually don't do it, but because it's just the show's, it's really tight, and you gotta, if you write something to put in it, you got to look at all of it and take something out of it, and so it's an ongoing process. So really, at no point do I ever stop doing everything and start doing everything new. At no point do I ever do that, and I don't think anybody else does either. Now, because it's just too hard to recreate that whole. You're able to beat a crowd up for an hour and 20 minutes. There's a lot of planning goes into that.
Yeah, how do you keep the routine going? Do you kind of have in your mind a way that you seg jokes? I always wondered. I've been in a band, and we use a set list. How does it work for a comedian?
Oh, if I'm working on a ton of new stuff, I'll have a set list on the floor. But if I'm not, I don't have one.
Just let it fly.
But if somebody sees me every couple of years, they'll think I'm a genius. If they see me every couple of weeks, they don't think I don't write much.
Okay. Right. Now you're famous, of course, for, having a cigar and drinking scotch during your routine. I've always kind of wondered, before you started getting comfortable with comedy, was that actually a little bit of a crutch before it became your trademark?
It still is a crutch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's nothing's really changed. Yeah, it was the first time I ever went on stage. I walked straight to the bar right before and ordered a beer and a shot of tequila. And my now brother-in-law, Alex Ramundo, who's going to be opening the shows with me this weekend, handed me that shot and that beer 27 years ago. So now he and I have a tequila company called Number One Tequila. So that's how full circle that has gone.
Yeah, and you're actually going to be out to promote that here in Wichita Falls, I believe, the day of the show. Is that right?
That is true. I mean, I think there were some things that I heard that BABC said I couldn't say.
Yeah.
I don't know if they say I can't say I own it, or I don't know what they. But anyway, that's what the case is. I will be there promoting Alex and I's Tequila Number One, which is absolutely killer sipping tequila.
I imagine.
Sell it at bars and restaurants in town and distribute it. So we're going to be supporting our juice while we're out there.
Outstanding. I can't wait to try some of it myself, man. And what's the plan for you after you wrap up the tour?
Start another one.
Oh, really?
In stand-up, you got to keep going, man. You can't stop. It's you should be on stage, every week at least doing something. So when I'm on tour, I do 125 cities a year, so I work quite a bit. So that's what it takes to stay good at this. And also it's one of the reasons I still love to do it. That and the fans still come out and they still are interested in what I have to say. So as long as that's people ask me when I'm going to retire, I'm like, my fans will let me know.
Yeah. Well, man, hopefully that's not going to be for a long time. I suspect it is not going to be. Your name right now, like I said, we were talking about earlier, it's as big as you've ever been. Do you have a lot of people tugging at you? Hey, you want to get into acting and do some of this and that, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think one of the things I don't realize about me is that I didn't get into stand-up to get into acting. I got into stand-up to do stand-up, and that's what I love to do. And that's what I do. I mean, that's what I got to deal with my fans.
Yeah.
You keep coming out. I'm going to keep putting in the effort, and so I won't cancel a movie. I just turned down a part in Horrible Bosses 3.
Oh.
Or 2, I guess it was, and a bigger role than I had the time before, and because I had 2, they wanted me to cancel 2 dates, and I'm like, I'm not going to cancel 2 dates, man. I'm from Fritch. We don't do that.
That's right. You take care of your people. I love it, man.
That's absolutely right.
Well, there's a group of aspiring comedians right here in Wichita Falls. They've been putting together a few open mics here and there. It's been kind of random, but is there any advice that you'd offer to any of them?
Yeah, the most important thing is that you're true to your nature, no matter what that nature is. You just have to be who you are. That's interesting. And but that's you just can't. You can't. Back when I was a young comic, I'd look at guys like Jeff Foxworthy and go, "Wow, he's really, really successful. Maybe I should be more like that." But that's wrong. I should just be more like me. So and if you look at any of the big comics, that's really the only common denominator is that they were who they were. Whether it was Kinnison or Hicks or Pryor or Cosby, and they're all right. They were all perfectly right, and because they're, that's who they are. So that's what I would recommend to the young comics there in Wichita Falls.
Outstanding. Ron White at Memorial Auditorium, Friday, August 8th. You can keep up at tatersalad.com. And, Ron, like I said, I can't thank you enough, man. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Well, I've enjoyed it, too. I can't wait to get out to Wichita Falls this weekend, or next weekend, I guess. And,
yeah.
I'll see you out there.